I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters, and we ain't got nothing to hide.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Pregaming here at Sports Money, Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. You know what we do. We look to beat these books, build these bankrolls, and have a lot of fun with our evenings as we enjoy sports. And sports we have tonight. The NHL's got a pretty full slate for us out there. Medium slate, I guess I would say. Medium slate for the NHL. 3 games in the NBA. We've got 2 plays in the NBA. We've got college basketball slate, but still found a couple spots to smack on there. And of course, the big playoff game is going to be Notre Dame, Indiana. You know, I got some looks out there to fire away on that thing, and I'm excited about this evening. Small card, but still a good card, I thought, and it's going to be obviously a lot of eyeballs, right? The first game of this expanded college football playoff. Some are calling it kind of a play-in format, but look, it's the playoffs. It's game 1. It's Friday night. It's under the lights. It's cold. It's snowing. It's going to be wet. It's going to be a ton of fun to see that game in action. So let's go, you guys. Know the deal. We got work to do. There's never enough time to do it. We got to get going so that we can get out and check out this big round of action tonight. And let's see. Highlights here. Highlights. We've got a parlay out there. We've got an NHL parlay for you guys. It was a tough card. Like I say, it was a tough card to come up with some numbers. A couple spots, though, that I think are solid knockdown, drag-out opportunities, and thought about adding something as well. So we'll see. We'll see what it brings to us here. It looks like the fine folks of StreamYard have updated some panels here. Well, it's a little foreign looking for me, but that's okay. We'll adjust. We'll get used to it. That's what we do here, you guys. We adjust and make things happen. Made some things happen last night. A wide card, and we let it rip. It was a lot of fun to get that cash. Man, it was disappointing on that total. Very disappointed. Oh, see, look. Yeah, there we go. How's that? Are we better? I think we're better now. Yeah, I think we're better now. I don't know what's defaults keep flipping around. But nonetheless, we've got work to do, and it's funny, my camera's now back on for my laptop, but the mic wasn't going. Anyways, we're right. Oldie says better. I don't want to get the mic too close. Then it gets too loud. Then I sound too loud. But we'll see if that works for us. And let's get to yesterday. We'll recap, we'll dig in, and we'll get up and out of here to enjoy our weekends. But important note. Big Saturday show. Going to start about 3:30 tomorrow. 3:30 tomorrow. We've got college football, the big game between Texas and Clemson. We've got the NFL. Nice little staggered start. The Texas-Clemson game starts at 4. Then we've got the NFL. We've got Pittsburgh-Baltimore for a big divisional matchup between those two teams. We've got a slew of NBA. We've got a slew of college basketball. Got several hockey games that pop off in that window. And no UFC, no problem. We still got fights. We've got a big boxing card culminating in the Tyson Fury battle. That goes on for about 6 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to pack it in. We're going to roll probably go from 3:30 to 7:30-ish, 8 o'clock. All things considered, there is an 8 o'clock game. So if you guys are still hanging out and ready to roll, we'll probably keep it going with that as well. But definitely plan to be there at 3:30. We'll break it down. We'll give you our best bets for the entire afternoon slate. And it's going to be a lot of fun to get after it. So let's recap. Let's get into the card. And then let's get up out of here. Huh? How about that? Yesterday, 15 straight has now gone to 16 straight unders in that San Jose Sharks game. We will keep our eyes on that one. Easy under. 4-2. Got touch sweaty maybe towards the end. Vegas in regulation. Catch. Let's see. Bellarmine plus 13.5. They had 40 points. Wouldn't have mattered. Well, 40 would have mattered. They lost. I was wrong about the total in the football game. 41.5. They got to what? 61. Woo! They torched it. But well, it was a scorching torch. But sadly, with all those points flying around, the touchdown parlay doesn't come through. Bo Nix, Lad McConkey, no good. And the under didn't cash. But the under did cash for us in Lil Rock, 137.5. Wouldn't matter. It was 116. We had 21 points, even after. That was that Steam report coming through to save the day for us. The Houston Rockets, minus 5.5 in the first half. No problemo. That's a gift that keeps on giving. Memphis, the Grizz, busted up Golden State Warriors, 144-93. Woo! Best part about that one was lock that thing in reasonable time frame. By the time that game popped off, that line had moved 40 full cents from where we got it. So we did get a little CLV there. How about joking? Vucevic. Our guy Vuce does it again. He comes through over 1.5 threes. He got himself two. Tampa, Nashville didn't come through in our parlay. Nashville blew it. And Georgia Southern and the over did not cash for us in the teaser for the college football game. But we rounded off the day with that plus 6.5. Woo! We got him by the hook. You know, it's funny. The day before, we lose by the hook from a profitable day. And then last night, we catch Orlando plus 6.5, and they lose by 6 to OKC. Okay, baby. That's how we do it. So let's go. Let's get to work. You guys know the deal. We need your help, and you do that by way of supporting us and hitting the thumbs up button. That way, YouTube notifies more people that we're out here hanging out in this community, and that'll notify them. They'll come over, they'll share their best bets, and we'll make more cash collectively together. So take that time, you guys. Close the comment section. Make sure you do hit that thumbs up, and then come back in and let's get this thing rolling. So all in all, we netted just over 2.5 units yesterday. Hey, live show, made some live bets, made some live cash, got some plus 300s on the Chargers with that big comeback as well. So that's where it's at. You guys know the deal by now, right? The live shows are where we come and clean up those bookies. So make sure you do get ready for tomorrow. It's going to be a ton of fun to get after it. It's a sleepy little Friday, huh? Sleepy little Friday. Everyone's dragging their butts to get up in here. That's okay. That's okay. We'll get to work nonetheless. You guys know the deal. Get the pen and paper out. The best in the business do assemble here. They're going to share their best bets. And make sure you do put your best bets in the chat so we can run down the board and get this thing moving. Let's see what you guys are on tonight. Our guy, Joe T., curator of the community tab on YouTube. Indiana Notre Dame, he likes this thing to be a score fest. A score fest for Jover. Jover was Junder last night. Now he's back to Jover today. He likes the over. Shout out to Stop Geo. Shout out to Bo Jackson. Robert McCormick in the house. Gonzo's here. Cameron Sinnett. Ron Young. I'm just kidding. I'm not going nowhere. Yeah, man, it is cold. It is cold. Shout out to Old E in the house. Our guy building this thing up with us. Constant contributor, rocking and rolling here, giving positive vibes to everybody in this community out there. Justin McKelvey says sports money is money. Daddy Beats. Yo, in here, hit that like now. That's right, Daddy Beats. You tell him. Mitch Morber's in the house. Mitchie Morber's in the house. He says, what's up, Mike? Caught Tulane team total live under 7.5. Nice, dude. Nice. I did take a live bet. I did live bet them Gators 7.5 and 9.5. And it looks like they're up 16-0. So, boy, no scoring there, huh? Tulane. A lot of people like Tulane. Not me. Not me. I thought they would score some points, though. I'm a little surprised. Dana Delp likes the Hoosiers and over. And then the guy, Jake Peasy, in the house. Says no sleep LFG, and he's gifting a $10 dono to bless the action. Appreciate you, JPZ. My brother wrote the outro. Guy writes fucking every intro and outro you've heard on YouTube is written by our guy JPZ. Appreciate you, JPZ, my dude. Let's go. F. Donnie's is cooking with Mike. Dana Duff says my Hoosiers going to show out. Notre Dame first drive punt. I like a little first drive action, huh? Bomb.com. I like that name. Says, let's get this money, fellas. Bomb.com. Daddy Beats likes Penn State money line, Texas money line, and Miami Heat money line. Bomb.com. Bomb. I like that. I like that sound. I like the way that sounds. Cleveland, first half, full game, both spreads. Cavs to bust them up. I don't disagree. But I want to keep this thing moving, so let's get going. We have no need to dilly-dally. This game's going to start at, 8 o'clock, Indiana, Notre Dame. So get yourselves ready to go and then place a couple bets and let's have some fun tonight. That's what we're going to do here to make that cash. We're going to pop off with a team that's on the shit list. And you're probably saying, they're on the shit list. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. We're not going to do it. We're going to attack the total, not the side. They can sit on that shit list all they want. Goaltender-wise, we've got Kochikov going on the Carolina Hurricane side of things. He's rolling 13-5. 2.47 goals against average, 90.2% save percentage. And he's got Lindgren that he's going to show down with on the other side. Now, both these guys are likely. They are still unconfirmed. Let me see if they just confirmed. Did they just confirm? Chris Middleton is available today. Giannis is in the lineup. I'm surprised Giannis is in the lineup. He seems soft. I don't see anything yet. Anyways, Kochikov, running it back, got his first shutout of the season out there, shut down them Islanders 4-0. And if you'll recall, we were on the over in that game. Shut him out. Stellar performance. Not what we needed yesterday or that day, but maybe today. Plenty of games under his belt too. So Canes are just bashing everybody right now. Outscored the opponents 8-1 their last 2 games. How do you win games? You outscore opponents, and they're 2-0. Meanwhile, the Capitals are finally starting to lose a little luster here. They've lost their last 2 games, and only the second time this season. But kind of expected, because now at this point, with the loss of Ovechkin, there's only so many games that you guys can step up. And when you play those harder teams that are starting to get healthy again, you're going to get run over. And that's what the Capitals have found themselves in that position. And, from a Lindgren perspective, last start, 3 goals on 24 shots. An 87% shooting percentage. It's a 3-1 loss. They're not scoring. Goaltenders are doing their jobs on both sides of the net, and that's where I want to go with this game here. I want to look at this total. I want to take this under, and I think there's a lot of, aside from the side, I would take the Carolina Hurricanes, but can't get involved when you make it to the shit list. I know that it's got to be out there as a constant reminder that I am bleeding money on those guys, and I don't want to do that anymore. Stop it. Stop bleeding money. Let's take these opportunities where we can. This one should be a playoff type atmosphere. Really. First place, they're going to battle. They're going to bring it. And I think that makes it difficult from a side perspective, but I think that the goaltenders will stand up. And we know that Carolina's the under capital of the East Coast. They allow just 2.7 goals a game. That's 7th best in the NHL. Their goaltender's 14th overall in the NHL. And they're firing. Capitals, they're allowing just 2.68 goals a game. Overall, I think this is just a battle between these two teams here. You can even take the 5.5 if you want to try to get a little plus money on this thing. I like the push being back in play. Again, we're getting towards under season. We've got these teams in under positions. We've got the goaltenders that are firing right now, and enough is enough. Take the 6. Let's feel good about that damn 6, and let's be appreciative that we get a nice little 3-1 game again and see probably Carolina comes out on top. But not going to bet the side because of the old shit list over on the side. The old Capitals keep me off of them, but hey, just don't go out there and score. Don't go out there and score. Let's keep it low and tight. And let's move on to the Yeti and Minnesota. Big game, low number. Interesting number when you look at this spread in this game here, or the dollars and cents at this thing here. And it's Pavelka starting for the Yeti, the Utah Hockey Club. There's a lot of things that were going on right there. Carl Pavelka, Utah Yeti, J's, V's, Y's, and K's. Just not things that I see that often. So 7-7-2 is Carl Pavelka. He's got a 2.37 goals against average and 91.5% save percentage. Don't look now. Utah's on a 3-game winning streak. And they're going to this guy for the 5th straight start. This is where we talked about yesterday. They're going to run these guys because they got the Christmas break coming up. So they're going to stay with the hot hand. But look, Utah found a little bit of a groove. They found their 3 straight games that they've won. Their goalie's now going out there for the 5th time. That's a bad recipe in my book. I know it's a low line, but man, look, he's firing too. 3 goals or fewer in 3 straight games. Kind of playing above his potential, frankly. And if it wasn't for the fact that the Yeti can't score, man, it'd be impressive to see. They just got busted up 6-1 to the Florida Panthers. And now they're going on the road to take on Marc-Andre Fleury. Backup, older, 6-2, 6-2-1 on the season. Again, Gustafsson still dealing with that lower body injury that he suffered in practice. So Fleury will go for his 3rd start and 4. He got busted up his last game. He allowed 6 goals. It wasn't pretty. That spot. I think I misread my notes there in terms of who lost. Who actually lost? It was the Wild that lost to the Florida Panthers. Excuse me. Let me get my shit together. But again, the Utah Hockey Club coming in with 3 straight wins. Marc-Andre Fleury off of a bust-up beatdown. Those are spots that generally concern me. We've talked about this in terms of kind of how to cap some of these hockey games. When your star goalie goes out, that's why you see a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury's got to go get tagged for a 6-pack because there's nobody else to put in there. You can't go to the 3rd stringer in that case is truly an emergency. You run with Fleury. He's got the experience. The guy's a Stanley Cup champion. It's several years dated in that situation. But at the end of the day, there's a couple things that kind of jumped off to me when I was looking at some of these numbers. Ultimately, the big spot, divisional opponents, home teams favored on a short number. The short number is not to be concerned with. Short number meaning like it's less than -130, right? So when you look at that line and you're going, man, it's a low number. Well, the reason it potentially is a low number is because it's a divisional opponent. They've seen each other a bunch. They're familiar with each other. And when you got the total set at a 6, the home favorite is 30-3. They've won 9 of the last 10 and 6 in a row. That is the Minnesota Wild tonight. I think we're just getting a treat. I think we're catching a low number as a treat. Also, the teams that play, and this one kind of makes a lot of sense. The teams that play the first half of the season, like before game 50, that are on back-to-back home spots, and they have the rest advantage, are 40-15. It's a big opportunity, 40-15. Again, for this Minnesota Wild team. I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to overthink it, as they say. I'm just going to jump in and take the Minnesota Wild, play number 2 in the NHL. Some great numbers there to support it, 30-3 and 40-15. Those are some great angles to look at, especially I wish that they didn't have Fleury going back again, but if anybody's capable of bouncing back, this guy's not going to have the head games. He's been in the NHL long enough to know how to get himself back into position, and a low-shooting team like the Utah Yeti, the recipe for him to go find this game again and go out there and save 94, 95% saving. Good enough for us. Kirill Kaprizov, there's a guy to look for, goal-scoring wise. That guy's on fire, especially when he's at home. When they're in the favorite role, Kirill got to go in 4 straight games. Look for that guy to lead the charge. I can't personally take him. I was going to parlay him to the Minnesota Wild. The problem is I've had him to score in the last couple of games, and he's not scoring. So as a favorite, It's a different story, though. He does find a way. Maybe it's because I was taking him to score first. Maybe that's where I was falling apart on that situation. But, then to compound things, it's not just the price tag that we look at with the Minnesota Wild. How about the flip side of things? When Utah's in that small dog roll, plus 107 to 137, they're just 3-7. So they're not performing either. I know it's a smaller sample, but it's a newer team. So, and the Wild run kick-ass as favorites. They're on a good run right now, 16-6. So we're going to take it. We're going to take the Wild. We're not going to question it. We're just going to expect the Wild to go out there and win. I bet you it's sweaty. And I bet you there's some live betting opportunities. When you get to that third period, and you start seeing some plus 500s because it's like 2-1 against Minnesota because Utah's up, don't be afraid to fire on that. Maybe sprinkle a couple dollars, a cup of coffee on that thing for a big return, because that's where we've got the trends in our favor that say that Minnesota should dominate this game and come out with the W. I expect it to be lower scoring. I believe that's why it's important to look at that live betting strategy when it comes down to it. What do you guys think? Shout out to Truth Tellers in the house. Nasty Nate, I'm at the bar pre-gaming in Providence before I go to the game. Shout out to Truth Tellers. Says, hope everyone's having a great day. It's cold, man. It's cold. But yeah, it's been a good day so far. So far, so good. Daddy Beats gave us that Penn State, Texas, and Miami Heat moneyline parlay. It's plus 214. Getting rid of the juice. Coming up with a plus number for us out there. Appreciate you rocking with us. Let's go. Mark Hell's in the house. Good to see all you guys, man. We're getting there. We're getting there. Let's talk about this next game here. It throws me off. They call it media assets now. And I don't know why it's bothering me, but it's just out of place for I guess frequency of clicking here. I'm going to parlay these two teams. So the second game in that formula that I just talked to you guys about when it came to the divisional opponent, favored around that minus 130 or so, 30-3 spot with a 6, also applies to the Detroit Red Wings tonight. Kind of struggled with that one. It's way too big a number to pay for the Red Wings. It is Sam Monteballe starting in goal for the Montreal Canadiens. Sammy M, he's 10-13. They got a 3.06 goals against average and a 90.2% save percentage. He's getting beaten alive. 9 goals on 52 shots in 2 games, but he did bounce back. 6-1 win over, pump your brakes, it was the Buffalo Sabres. And so sometimes you got to get that little slump buster out of the way, and the Sabres were that slump buster for Monteballe. But now they're going into Detroit. You got Cammy Talbot going in goal on his side of things. He's 6-6-2. Talbot's, I don't know what to make of this guy. He was hurt. He had his own lower body injury. He'll start the second time in 8 games. He's older. He's got 37 years old. Miles on the tires. Reason I wanted to parlay this one together, just bottom line it. I'm concerned that Detroit doesn't go out there and fire enough to score and cover you on a -1. And I'm concerned that this could be a lower 2-2 type of game that goes to overtime. And you're playing if you got the -1 for a push, or you lost the regulation bet. So I took the Red Wings. I do like that 30-3 angle for this Red Wings team over Montreal. Montreal's okay, but they just let bad teams beat on them, except for the Sabres. Then the flip side of things, I went to Dallas and I put the Stars in there. Why? They're playing the Rangers. That's for one. We've got a goaltending battle in Shesterkin and Ottinger. Ottinger's clearly the better guy at this point. Shesterkin's got a 3.18 goals against average. Ottinger's got a 2.54 goals against average. And for all you guys that play those birthday trends, it was Ottinger's birthday on Wednesday against the Maple Leafs. And he let up 4 goals on 12 shots. 4 goals on 12 shots. Now, the benefit of having goaltending depth is they can pull them. They don't have to leave them out there like Marc-Andre Fleury that we had just talked about. But he'll look to bounce back. He'll look to bounce back at home. The Rangers aren't scoring 3 or fewer goals in 5 straight. That's how you lose. You're 1-4. And the Dallas Stars, one of the best bounce back teams in all of hockey, especially when they're at home. Dallas, off a home loss, 39-21, almost 2-1 in favor a Dallas Stars team. So I'm going to fade them Rangers. I'm going to take the Dallas bounce back spot, and I'm going to take the fact that I think that 30-3 trend for Detroit works in this favor, although I believe that to be a lower scoring game, and we're going to parlay. And when we parlay those two teams, we pick up a plus 155. And we just need to win. That's it. No overtimes, no regulations, no -1s, puck lines. Just give us two teams that are in a position that the numbers say they should win, and let's make it a positive number. It's not the biggest of NHL slates, but I thought that was a good way to attack what I think should be, I don't want to say easy wins, because I think that Detroit game is going to get squeaky, but 2 wins that should happen. And, you decide. Is it a half a unit? Is it a full unit? Do you put 2 units on it because it's 2 games that you're covering in one shot? I like that parlay a lot. I think that's a good looker out there. Let's move on to college basketball. Keep a brisk pace. I'm ready. I'm ready for this Indiana game. So I want to get myself ready. We're going to pregame here, then I'm going to pregame, and then I'm going to game. That's what's going to happen there. And that's how we're going to go after it tonight. So let's go. Game number 1, college hoops. Let's talk some college hoops. Look, shout out to Nasty Nate going to this game. This team here is a little bit different. Here we've got St. John's coming in at 9-2. They're 1-0 in the Big East. Providence 7-5, 1-0 in the Big East. Now you got 90% of the bets and 84% of the cash on Providence. Mine's not really moving. It's kind of a little bit of a concern. That should be a little red flag. Then you got a 143.5. 91% of the bets, 91% of the cash are on the over. And the line's dropped 2 points. It's a little red flag on the total, for sure. Ultimately, though, I think what happens with this game is that Styles and Styles making the fights, right? We look at St. John's. What does St. John's like to do? They like to run a fast-paced game. They like to take a lot of shots, take a lot of opportunities. And they've been fortunate to beat up on a lot of teams. That's why they're running in this thing at 9-2. On the flip side, what does Providence want to try to do? They want to try to slow the game down a little bit, kind of play to their pace. And they're great when it comes to defensive 2-point field goals. They're one of the best in the nation. So they're really limiting teams with that slow pace. And when you run a slow pace against a team that's fast, and you start missing some shots on that fast-paced team, that score starts to widen. And now what happens is you got fast-paced, getting frustrated that they're not getting things in there. Because they control the ball with that slower pace, it just makes it a real difficult situation, limiting opportunities that St. John's is going to get. They want this game lower scoring. I like the under in this game quite a bit. The thing that concerns me a little bit from the Providence side of things is turnovers. They can play some sloppy ball. But peel all that back. Take it all, put it over on the side. What do we know about Providence? Well, they just lost to St. Bonaventure. St. Bonaventure's covering the spreads like nobody's business across the country. They bust up DePaul. They bust up Rhode Island. I'm sorry, they lose to Rhode Island. But the team I wanted to circle in there is BYU. And they also played Indiana before that. So this team is ready for big challenges. And what BYU found out as a 4.5-point favorite is if you fuck around in Providence, you're going to find out. That used to be, remember, it was just a year ago that they had like the best stretch of wins going on Providence court. Just a year ago. And all of a sudden, St. John's going to come in here and going to take 7 points for the road team on a Friday night where you got one of the best home court advantages in college basketball? Nope, not for me. It's a Providence spot. It's disrespectful. Come out if they can minimize turnovers, if they can play the pace the way, if they can dictate, they can go out there and hand St. John's a loss just like they handed BYU. It's a similar game profile. It's going to really just come down to, now there's some other options. Is Bryce Hopkins going to play? I haven't seen that yet. He was out the last game, and that kind of hurt him against St. Bonaventure. That being said, I still think it's a good opportunity. It's baked into the number. It's only a bonus if he comes in there. But at this point, I think, watch this game. Watch the tempo. and watch the defensive efficiency. You've got St. John's versus this Providence team. Providence ranks 68th overall in their defensive efficiency. Again, do they get stupid? Do they make turnovers? They definitely send teams to the stripe. So you got to be careful live betting this thing. You don't want to take a number that's going to be too far below like 4.5. Because at the end of the game, I think we need all those points in our back pocket. And the fact that this is ever so slightly moved to give us an extra one kind of covers, in my opinion, that fact that they do send too many teams to the free throw line. They give too much of that charity, and this ain't UNICEF. So it's time to go out there and make some cash with us in Providence tonight. Let's see if we can't get back on this Friars bandwagon. They were good to us the last couple of years. Kind of fell off a little bit, but I think they have some decided edges. The three-pointer potential out there, their ability for shutting down on the field goal percentages from the 2-point line, as long as they stay disciplined. And they should. They're home. It's Friday. You know, the refs tend to give a little look to those guys when it comes to being at home as well. We got a couple of other trends that kind of fell in line with Providence, but I just kind of thought from an X's and O's perspective, it's just too many. Home dogs bark on a Friday. Remember, we talked about that before. It's very much a true factor. Everyone's riled up. Everyone's rowdy. The place is packed. And look, when you're in the same conference and you're a dog of over 5.5 points, you're 28-17. So you're rolling. You're rolling with that too many points factor. The Big East likes to play lower scoring games anyways, which falls under Providence purview by controlling the ball and dictating that pace. 176-127 in favor of the unders in the Big East. And this is disrespectful. Too many points. This team's gotten there. They've slayed the dragon. They're not going to be concerned about St. John's rolling into town with Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino's already scouting. Look at this. Got a Ramon. He's popping it. I think they're a live dog for sure. So Providence has won 6 of its last 7 at home against St. John's. Absolutely. Nasty Nate says if Hopkins is out, we won't cover. Nasty Nate, I think it's irrelevant because he's factored into the number. The number's out there. They're probably expecting him not to play. That's why the number's out there. It's just going to be that we get a cherry on top if he does play. But I don't think he's needed. Adam says Providence, best city in the world. Biggest little state in the union. You guys know what that's from? Somebody's got to know that one. Come on. You guys have been pretty good when I say that. Biggest little state in the union. Juggler 23 likes Indiana Notre Dame under 51.5. And Nathan Cerna. I'm here at the kiosk. I need the numbers intersecting zeros. All that. I don't know if we have any numbers that are intersecting 0 tonight. Let's keep it rolling. Let's see. Let's get my man paid here. He's at the kiosk. He's ready to lay some numbers down. Oh, man. Look at this spot. We're attacking this game the same way that we attacked Temple. Was it Temple Houston? Temple Houston? Whoever the hell Houston just thought. Doesn't matter. Same deal. BYU at home. Elevation. Home court advantage. Friday night. And yet we got this 0-6 on the road. Florida A&M squad. Almost profiled. When I looked at this thing, it jumped out at me first thing this morning. This is very similar to that spot that we saw out there. And this is one of those deals. You've got a team in BYU that plays hard at home. They're physical. They're relentless. They just go out there and battle and battle and battle. And they took that out. They kind of got that chip on their shoulder from Providence. But it's a deep team that is this BYU. And that's what hurts its suspect Florida A&M. Florida A&M is going to come in here and get their bottoms padded. There's no question about it. When BYU is a large home favorite, they win games convincingly. 28, 44, 24, 44, 38-point victories when they're favorites of 20 or more points. Crazy. Crazy part is, though, they're not necessarily covered. Big spreads, they deserve big spreads. That's how they play ball. Their size, their depth, they lead the nation in bench point, or close to leading the nation in bench minutes. So they're using the whole team. All the boys are out there warming up, getting ready to roll, and that keeps them fresh. So you got a fresh team playing against a team that's traveling, going to Elevation on a Friday night.
playing the best defensive rebounding team in the country, the number one defensive rebounding team in the country. And what do we got? Utah, Florida A&M. Knock it out. They went on a 9-0 run to come back and, depending on the number you got, they backdoor covered. So this is a back-to-back elevation spot for this team as well to compound things even more. I just think they're going to have a tough time scoring. You know the deal. I can't find the parlay at this current moment, at this current juncture. But you know what the parlay is going to be. As soon as I can find it. This one's a little more pricey than that Houston one. Remember, we had Houston in the first minus 17.5, and we had the under, I think it was 65.5, if I can remember correctly. And they covered the under. They got 17 points. Then they went on to cover the full game. The difference in why I like this first half is because we just talked about it. When BYU's laying a big number, they'll cover, or they'll score points. But they're 3-2 in those spots. So they're not actually going out there and triumphantly dominate. They're getting over it. They're overvalued in that point. But the first half's a different story. Slice that thing down, and you're looking at minus 20.5 for the first half. If we take that first half, minus 20.5, and slap the under, what should the under be? Let's see. Under 70.5. That should be a pretty good score. And again, I'm trusting in Florida A&M, just gassing out, getting tired, and exposing themselves. Now, they do cover a lot of spreads. They're 5-1 against the spread on the road. But again, I think this is that unique situation where they're coming off of this now second game at elevation. And, you know, they're not playing slouches. Maryland, Florida, Clemson, they covered all three of those games. They're on a 5-game cover streak as well. But give me low scoring. Give me the defense and BYU to be triumphant here. Limit those second chance opportunities as number one in the nation. And give us the W. Florida A&M, first half team total under 26.5. We'll lock that puppy in. Nathan Cerny says, was thinking BYU by 30. Elevation is a real thing. Absolutely. They should get. I think they should too. The problem you got is you got a team that covers a lot of spreads and a team that when they're getting all those points doesn't cover the spread. When they tip over 20, they're just not covering, and this is a big number for these boys. That's why I'm more confident in the first half than the full game. Now, I guess looking at the fact that they're in that back-to-back elevation spot probably means that they probably should go out there and handle business. 88% of the bets and 60% of the cash are on Florida A&M. The line's not moving. I think that's more of a function of it's right where they want it. They want the public thinking that's too many points. And the Sharks are thinking it's a good team, and they're getting the buy-in the way they want. I mean, 20. You got that differential that we talk about, right? 19% differential in terms of the bigger money coming in on BYU. I know it says 73% on Florida A&M for the cash, but there's a 19-point differential. Some bigger bettors out there that don't think that this is going to be a problem for BYU to cover, and I agree. I agree with Nathan Cerny. I think they should bust them up. I think this is going to be one of them get-right spots. They're not going to take a slouch team lightly. I think it's going to be bad news bears when it comes to this Florida A&M squad. Nate says, Florida, no elevation. Hell yeah. And you got 2 days up there. You can climatize to the thin air, but your body's still going to get run down. All right, let's run down some NBA. We'll jump into this college football game, and then we'll get everybody up out of here enjoying their weekends. Again, get ready. Big Saturday live stream. We pop off at 3:30 p.m. I'm going to remind you guys, I'll send a couple Twitter notes out there as well. It's going to be a big afternoon. We've got some football. We got some boxing. We got some basketball. We got some hockey. There's going to be plenty to do tomorrow. Don't you worry about that. We got OKC Thunder taking on the Miami Heat. Just a 3-game card in college hoops. I was inclined to take the Hornets. You know, if you look at some of the numbers, I got numbers on both sides of that game. So it was very tricky for me. I couldn't officially pull the trigger one way or the other on the side. I'd be more inclined to take the 13 than lay the 13 with Philly. Still a bad basketball team in Philadelphia. I don't care who's playing. But I looked at this Bucks and Cavs game, and I said to myself, we got a little something going on here. What the hell's going on with this number? The Bucks just won the NBA Cup. Then we look at the other side of things, and who's one of the best teams in basketball? The Cavs. So it's only fitting. Now, I kind of thought Giannis would be out of this game. They had the sickness factor coasting around the locker room. They just had that big game, winning the NBA Cup, and I thought, this kind of seems like a little sleepy spot for him, just to give him a little extra rest as he gets ready for the weekend. But here we are, 90% of the bets, 88% of the cash. The line went from 4.5 to 9s. Now, once the Giannis news got announced, it settled back down to 8.5. Think about that. When I talk to you guys and I say that it's baked into the line, if you're sitting there going, what's he mean by that? What does that really mean? Giannis just got announced back in. The line only moved a 0.5 point. That in itself tells you it's already in there. The books have to protect themselves a little bit. They're not going to get thumped. Well, they might, but that's if their calculators, if their programming hits the mark off. And so now think about the head game that plays. Oh, Giannis is in. Oh, and we're getting 8.5 points on top of it. All that money coming in. Thinking this is a buck spot. They just won the NBA Cup. I think it's a sleepy hangover spot. We'll talk about some of the X's and O's in a second here, but 228.5 has dropped to 221.5. And you got 93% of the bets and 95% of the cash on the over. I've been charting a lot of these Cleveland unders. I've had mixed results. It hasn't been the finest of opportunities here, but kind of win one, lose one, win one, lose one when it comes to the total. But they're firing. I mean, they're just a good basketball team all around here. 4-1 in their last 5 games. Think about this. What is going on with this number? They're at Brooklyn. They're laying 10.5 points. They got the Bucks coming into town, and they're laying 9. It's a problem if you're not getting the Bucks at a discount. That's what I'm thinking in this game. Bottom line, again, we talked about Giannis being in. Pretty much everybody's good to go. Both sides. Should be a fun game to watch. I expect a little bit of that sleepiness and the hangover follow-up process here, but a couple of things that just pointed to the Cavs for me that I just couldn't ignore. First and foremost, when you won as a road dog, 70% win percentage, and the line is bigger than the last line. One as a road dog, winning team, and the line's bigger than it was the last time. Right? It was 4.5 or 5 points with that OKC game. Now it's 9 points, 8.5 points. That's the somebody knows something spot right there. 2-21 straight up are those teams. 4-19 against the spread. 4-19 against the spread, saying there's a reason they're getting more points in these spots. Now the Cavaliers, when they're favored by 9 or less, and they got a total of 213 to 225. Coming off a road game, they are 23-6. They won 6 in a row. They've covered 9 in the last 10 in those spots. Cavs. Last but not least, when they're off a win, they're averaging a +8 margin or better on the season. They roll in a 20-1 against the spread. That's almost a little intersecting zero opportunity there. 20-1 against the spread. They're covered by over 7 points a game. I like Cavs. There's a big number for a reason. It's not an accident that we're looking at this number, seeing what we got. Let's see what the total is now. Let me just see what the number looks like now. Yeah. It's a joke. That's exactly the situation. A 0.5 point movement when Giannis comes in. That to me says the books knew he was going to play. And then he gets the announcement, and it's just a 0.5 point swing. And now what's the public going to do? Race to get them Bucks tickets. I got the Bucks. I got 8.5 points. Just don't get blown out. Oh, famous last words. Just don't get blown out. Rick J's in the house. Is Giannis over 50.5 points, rebounds, and assists? Bobby Portis. Over 19.5 points in rebounds. Sneaky Ninja. There's a great stat for you. The Cavs are 11-4 as home favorites. Look at you guys. Coming in here, dropping the goods. Billy Kill says, nice of Embiid to possibly play. Thanks, Embiid. He probably wants out of there. What did I say? Inventing new terms like the NBA Cup. Pass around, but give credit. All right. Cool. Sports Money says, real sharp. What was your opinion of the Bucks and OKC NBA Cup final? I was on, where are we on, the over? I was surprised it went under. And my assessment there was Giannis doesn't want to look back in 20 years and see that this thing's so important that he should have gotten himself an NBA championship, mid-cup. What is it called? The NBA Cup champion, whatever. Nathan Cerna says, laid the lumber. I don't think that's a bad move. All right, let's go. Last game in the NBA. Then we'll pop in. We'll drop this bomb on some 2 plays for this college football game, and then we'll get up out of here. What do you think about that? We got OKC Thunder and the Miami Heat, 8 p.m. All right, fuck this up. Did we already cover the OKC game? Where am I? Am I in Mars? OKC Thunder open up as -1.5 points. 0 movement to the line. 61% of the bets and 60% of the cash are on OKC. Public leaning towards the road team. Bigger bettors leaning towards the road team. And the total, it's moved up a point. It's correlated. There's 78% of the bets and 73% of the cash on the over. We saw what just happened. We just talked about it. We snuck in the back door with the hook. The old hook job. Got us paid with that Orlando Magic squad. And now you got a traveling team on the second leg of a back-to-back in the OKC Thunder. Bad news because you got the Miami Heat with rest. And not only are they with rest, we'll talk about that in a second. They came off a nice little home winning stand. They play well down there in Miami. Then they go into Detroit. They're laying 4.5 points. They lost outright, 125-124. And they've been sitting around for the last 4 days tasting that bitter, awful loss in the 3-1-3. That don't sit right. And you got rest. And what happens when the Miami Heat get rest? They bust you up. Something fierce. A couple things to look at here. They're 25-2 when the spread's less than 8.5. The total's less than 223. And they're on 3 or more days rest. 9-1 in its last 10 in those spots. 25-2 when we're in these line parameters and they've got rest. When they play good teams, not Detroit, when they play good teams, they excel. They're 6-2 against teams above 500. We know Chet's still out. Bam Adebayo's a fucking double-double machine at home. He's gotten 5 straight double-doubles at home. The boys come to play. And I expect them to come to play in this spot as well. I think this is a great opportunity for them to bounce back, take a Thunder team that just got their dub. The Thunder, think about it, they had to exact revenge after that Milwaukee loss. They just couldn't cover. And they got that win. So now they're check the box, and they're in South Beach. And they got this rested Miami Heat team pissed off that they just lost. It's time for them to get their revenge. And we get a point. Point in our back pocket. Maybe it's not necessary. I'll take it. The dollars and cents didn't make sense not to. You weren't getting enough of a benefit. In other words, the plus 1.5 is sitting at -112. And the money line's even money. So at 5 cents a point, right? 5 cents a half a point. We did this before. At 5 cents a half a point, should be 15 cents. A half, 1, and 1.5. That's 3. 3 times a nickel, 15 cents. In this case, by getting the minus 112, we're actually saving 3 cents by having the 1.5. The last time we did this calculation, the team lost by 1. Keep that in mind. Very important as we look to try to navigate this. This is a tricky window. Definitely was a tricky window across the board. I'd probably be more inclined to lean to an under as well. The total seems to be, I think, a little bit too high, but I like this Miami Heat spot. Now, they probably do win outright, and you probably don't need that 1.5, but just looking at the cost of the 1.5, that's important punctuation or calculation for you guys to consider as you evaluate, should I take the point or not? Sometimes it's okay to buy up, but keep in mind that half a point, if you're buying up to a key number, is going to get expensive. Like if you take a 2.5 in football and you move it to a 3, it's going to be more than a nickel. So you maybe want to start thinking about taking that other side if you need to get that 3 or that key number, generally speaking. But in this case here, the valuation just makes sense to take the Miami Heat with the plus 1.5. I hope that made sense for you guys. Nate Cerna says Miami first half. I kind of thought that too, Nate. I thought that coming off of that bitter loss to Detroit. Ice Viking likes when I use my fingers. And Sneaky Ninja says, strange seeing a 1-point line for OKC. It is strange. I agree. OKC, man, they came in there. Like I said, they got their game. They got their spot yesterday. They don't need this spot, and Miami needs this spot. That's just basics of NBA slackonomics. Slackonomics is this NBA. I just made that term up. How about that? Slackonomics is the NBA, and they just won. They don't need this one. As crazy as that sounds. You don't see hockey players thinking about that. Hockey players roll out there thinking they need all of them. They want all 82 of them. They don't care. And they'll lose their teeth by a slap shot. And they'll still go back out there. And even though they're up in that game, they'll be winning 3 games by 3 goals. They'll have their teeth knocked out by a slap shot. They'll say, stop the bleeding and put me back in. No, we don't need this game. We already won one. It's crazy. It's crazy. But look, society allows the NBA to do that. By buying tickets, buying jerseys, valuations on these teams are through the roof. Although I will say, teams and valuations, kind of interesting to see what's going to happen with this 76ers new stadium that they're building. I don't know if you guys know, but the owner is also the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers owner is also the owner of, I believe it's the New Jersey Devils. And he was looking to potentially take that team from Philadelphia and move them into New Jersey. So the city came back and said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to give you a brand new stadium, and we're going to approve it right smack in the middle of downtown. They call it Center City, Philadelphia. It's going to be right there, right in the heart of the dead center. If you put a dart and you want a bullseye from a dartboard and the bullseye was the dead center of Philadelphia, that's exactly. I can't imagine what the traffic patterns are going to look like. I can't imagine the construction process is going to be fucking mess. But it's going to be cool to see what it looks like when it's all said and done. My little Philly bias there. But let's go. Let's game. College football. And everybody thinks that this is an Indiana spot, huh? Not everybody. I mean, the cash was pretty split. It's 52% of the bets and 52% of the cash on Notre Dame. The lines come down. And what do we know? We got weather. Weather. This line went from 51.5 to 50.5. It's correlated movement because you have 56% of the bets, but you have 70% of the cash. There's that percentage differential. 14%. Bigger bets coming in on the under. Makes sense to me. It's cold. It's below 30 degrees. There's snow. It's going to be kind of cool to see the first college football playoff game in the snow, by the way, on a side note. But, man, you look at these two teams. Yeah, we could talk about it. We should. You know, we look at Notre Dame 11-1. They lost to NIU Northern Illinois, MAC school, embarrassing. Bad schedule spot, though. That loss could be dismissed because, if you look at who they had around them, scheduling-wise, everything said that was a fade spot for Notre Dame. If you look back at it, let me pull it up here. Where'd it go? Where did it go? There it is. Scroll. They beat Texas A&M the first game of the season, 23-13 at A&M. Then they had to roll up to Purdue. So they just came off a big road game. They have their home opener. They dropped the dud. They roll up to Purdue, though, and they busted Purdue up 66-7. Now, the gripe out there is they haven't played anybody, Notre Dame. I always thought it was bullshit that Notre Dame kind of operated on that independent schedule. And then they want to kind of stuckhole around the ACC to kind of get some of the ACC credit points when it comes time to, college basketball and getting into the tournament and looking at the skill and the level of competition. Really, again, they played USC at the end of the season. They went 49-35 on USC. They did take down Army 49-14, but we saw Army kind of lay that dud against Navy. Not kind of, they did lay that dud against Navy. They busted up Navy 51-14. Florida State 52-3. Virginia's the one that I kind of circled there. They went in there and they had Virginia come in 35-14. We know Virginia tends to play to the under. It stayed under, but they were able to kind of get that confident, dominant victory. Yeah, MAC schools, service academies, and a couple of shitbag West Coast teams. That's what makes up the Notre Dame schedule this year. Flip side of things, Indiana, look at Big Ten. I think it's Big Ten's more of a basketball situation than a football situation, but look, big schools in there. They handled Michigan 2015, then only to lose to Ohio State 38-15. But Ohio State lost to Michigan. So, I don't know. And they thumped Purdue to finish the season off 66-0. 66-0. Thumped them. And got themselves into the playoffs. They played teams like UCLA. But they've also played teams like Northwestern and FIU. So, I don't know that I'm willing to just throw, if you want to call Michigan and OSU aside, just because they're in the Big Ten doesn't mean that they automatically had better schedule. They played the shit side of the Big Ten. But, look, you don't see Penn State on their schedule, right? You don't see, you just see Maryland in there, but I don't consider Maryland that big a squad. I'm willing to dismiss the fact that the schedule is perceived to be lighter for Notre Dame than it was for Indiana. It's fucking Indiana. Let me tell you what's going to happen in this game. It's snowing. It's blowing. It's cold. And it's a big game with bright lights. And where does the difference maker come in when it's bright lights? Well, how about coaching? How about Marcus Freeman against ranked opponents? He don't sleep. He's 11-2 against the spread against ranked opponents. We got a little spot here when you got two ranked teams, and they each have over a week's rest, and they each came off of less than 5 sacks the previous game. They're 50-12 straight up. They're 41-19 against the spread. That's a playoff stat right there. They're coming in with that extra. They both have the rest situation. They didn't necessarily go out there and sack lunch the other team. And they're winning 41-19 against the spread. And in terms of line parameters, the average line in those spots is 6.7. And the average covers by 4 points. Tight game, yes. It's also 25-36 to the under. Notre Dame, we talked about the coach. The team is 38-18 when they play ranked opponents. Biggest one I saw. Team with a better than 90% win rate. You fade away on this Indiana squad in a 21-2 spot. 10-game winning streak by fading them boys. Now, Notre Dame should win the game. I parlayed, full disclosure, I got Notre Dame on the money line. I parlayed that with Florida. Florida on the money line as well. But where do I think the challenge is going to come in this game? Look, Indiana wants to pass the ball. They're 27th in the nation at throwing the ball around the field. And they got obviously their guys are coming back. When you look at it overall, it's a wet, cold game. Are you going to be throwing it or are you going to be more inclined to run it? And Notre Dame wants to run the ball. This is where I think the separation comes into play. Indiana, yeah, great offense. They're second in the nation. They're scoring 43 points a game, and their defense is holding teams down to 15 with a mediocre schedule. Yeah, they got busted up by Ohio State. They're going to pass the ball. They're going to want to pass the ball. Notre Dame's secondary is third overall in pass defense. Now, again, we went through the schedule to some degree to kind of identify where those good opponents are not. But the MAC passes the ball a lot, so they don't do well. But Notre Dame's ability to go out there and manage the pass defense, albeit maybe this is the big test, and we'll see if they are for real or not. But Notre Dame's going to want to run the ball. And, that to me says, okay, Indiana wants to run the ball. They got a top-ranked run defense. 70.8 yards allowed per game. That's it. Collectively, if you got a team that wants to pass the ball, but is in tough elements, and you got teams that want to, when they do run, they're running into brick walls against each other. It's a tricky spot. I think it's the under for sure. I think this is under City. I took the Notre Dame -1 in the under 56 in a teaser. But I'll also go Notre Dame -6.5. I want the coaching edge. I think that, I get it. Indiana's got some great numbers behind them, but there's a reason that they're coming in here with a 6.5. And it's not just because, look, I heard the Indiana coach, we want the snow. Bring on the snow. Our quarterback's from Canada. Okay. Nobody wants the snow in a big, important game. You want to have perfect conditions in the best situation so your team can excel. That's not the case today, boys. We got Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's going to come out there and punch them in the mouth. I think this is an opportunity where they step up to ranked opponents. They play shit opponents, but that just means they get practice to tinker, try different game plans. And why is that important? Because when your coach comes out against ranked teams, he's 11-2 against the spread. That's going to be the way we put the bow on the show. We got just around an hour for you guys here to get after it, and keep in mind tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. we'll pop off. We'll do some live football this weekend. We'll have some fun with it. We'll talk. So there's going to be boxing. There's going to be boxing going on. The DAZN Network will have, I believe it's a 12-card fight. It starts early, and we'll be coming in right at the main card. So that should be a lot of fun. And, of course, we've got college football. We've got that Clemson-Texas game. We've got Pittsburgh-Baltimore, a slew of basketball and hockey spots as well. Hope everybody has a great Friday night. Get that money, everybody. I appreciate all you guys rocking and rolling with us. And, keep sports money. Positive vibes in your mind out there. Shout out to all you guys. Thomas Maggio's in the house. Irish King AODM. Ramon Scott says this is the first Notre Dame home game not televised by NBC in 34 years. Ramon Scott, man. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, the morning steam with Ramon Scott. He'll give you the full day's action. He'll tell you where the big money's coming in. We talk about it here. It's important. We see where that sharp cash is coming in. He's giving it to you as soon as it's coming in. Perfect spot to start your morning. Have a cup of coffee. Tell Ramon I said hi, because I'm going to be cocktail tonight. I don't know if I'll be up at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, but good luck with everybody's bets tonight. Shout out to Jay Peasy with the $10 dono, and I missed it, but shout out Grandma Horse Racing gifting a sports money membership. Grandma, thank you. Grandma, I hope we see you tomorrow rocking with us here. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I so much appreciate you, your contributions. My Grandma Horse Racing shot glass. Appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys real soon. See you tomorrow. On behalf of Sports Money. Happy Friday, everybody. You got through the week. Get that cash.